We don't want this paper thin. We want to keep some bulk. But we kind of want to make sure that some of that roughness from the Rice Krispie treat still shows through. And fondant's quite heavy. There's no need to have too much if we don't need it. So grab your Rice Krispie treat. Actually, I'm going to just dust my surface because I find the fondant likes to stick to the mat. And we're just going to lay that over top and just start to form the fondant around the Rice Krispie treat. Get rid of those pleats. Turn around. Try to make sure it comes up nice and tight at the very base. And then using a palette knife or an X-Acto blade, whatever you have on hand. And we're just going to cut kind of like a wavy shape all the way around, trimming away the bulk. It actually helps that this looks incredibly rough. So at this point, just start to kind of fold under that cut edge, kind of crumpling the fondant as you go. Just fold under, roughen it up. Don't worry about your fingerprints. We'll buff those out in a minute. Kind of like don't want to really have any folds, just crumply lines. I even like to pull the fondant out so you get some of the breaking, kind of makes it look a little more real. Just ever so slightly. Of course, you're going to have a good side and a bad side probably. Pull that out, pop it down, give it a spin around. Overall, I'm pretty happy. I don't know if I'm ever 100% happy with myself. You're always your worst critic. Okay, now to add a little bit of texture, if you have sea sponge on hand, you could definitely use a sea sponge, but just use another Rice Krispie treat and just take it and just kind of gently tap the fondant. Kind of adds those little bumps and ridges, like the scoop has been dragged through the ice cream, ripping up the ice cream as it goes. And then do a couple around the base as well. Just a little bit of texture. Just a little bit of icing sugar. And there we go. There's our 3 scoops of ice cream. So there we have it. There's our ice cream scoops all done and ready for the top of our cake. Speaking of cake, it should be ready to be covered now. So pop those aside and let's go get our cake. So I'm just going to warm my fondant up. I recommend keeping your cake in the fridge right up until the point you're ready to cover, because we don't want to undo that work that the cold did for us, like firming up that rope of fondant. So I gotta work quickly because my cake's already out. So let's dust our surface. Some icing sugar. And we will roll out our fondant. I got some air bubbles I'm gonna have to pop. Pop, 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 pop. So just come in on an angle and then just push the air out. I usually work on a roll and cut mat, but this cake is small enough that I'll be able to pick up the fondant easily with my hands and transfer it. Knock on wood. Murphy's always listening, to me at least. Seems that way. Pick this up and we will center it the best we can. Start to push that air out around the lip, get right up to that rope. But don't worry, fondant's stretchy. It'll stretch. And now we're going to start to smooth down the sides.